words, it's not the words that are good or evil. Are the words carnal or spiritual? Because spiritual words are the truth, right? And so you can most certainly open up that Bible and read it spiritually, and that will cause you to walk with the living, loving God. But you can open up that Bible and read it carnally, and you'll be walking after the flesh, right? So Jesus looked at the scriptures, and he saw the spirit of truth in the scriptures. But what happened was he came to a people who were carnal, sold under sin. And so they couldn't understand the spirit of truth because they defined everything carnal. You know, Paul said something profound I'm going to get into today. He said the law is spiritual, not carnal. What does it mean that the law is spiritual? It means that the law contains the spirit of truth. For something to be spiritual means that there's a truth contained in that thing, not a carnal principle or an external observance to perform, right? But we were carnal. And so when we looked upon the spirit of truth, we didn't see that it contained a truth there. We looked upon it for an external ordinance or an external commandment to perform, right? And so we missed it. And so we have read the scriptures from the carnal mind. But Jesus read the scriptures from the spiritual mind. And so when he read the scriptures, he didn't see an external ordinance that he must perform to have life. He didn't see works that he must perform to have life. He saw the spirit of truth. Is what he saw, right? But he came to interpret the scriptures for us because we were a carnal people. And so that's why the word had to be made flesh in him, because we were carnal. The only way we were going to see the word, because we were carnal, is if that word could manifest in the flesh. Because we were fleshly. Do you see what I'm saying? And so that's what Jesus did. And so Jesus came to interpret the scriptures for everybody because we couldn't understand it. It's like if I'm sitting here talking Chinese, none of you guys can understand Chinese.
I can understand ni hao wa pun yo.
Well, maybe I'm not saying that. Okay? So I could be sitting here talking Chinese and I could be saying some profound things and you guys could come together and make a conclusion about what it is you think I'm saying, and then you could run wild with it. But you'll have no idea what I really said. But if there could be a translator sitting here that knows Chinese, and as I'm talking can interpret what I'm saying to you, then you'll know exactly what I'm saying. Well, that's how it was with man and the spirit of truth. Man was carnal, and so we spoke a certain language. But God is spirit, and his spirit is the spirit of truth. And so what he speaks is spiritual. And so it was like a different language to people who were carnal. So we couldn't understand what he was saying. We couldn't hear it for what was actually there. And so we needed a translator. And so Jesus came, and he came in the likeness of sinful flesh, but he didn't have the carnal mind. So when he looked at the spirit of truth, he didn't interpret it with the carnal mind. When he looked at the spirit of truth, he interpreted it with the spiritual mind. And he said, I see what you're saying there. And so what he did then was he translated it to a carnal people. So he came to a carnal people who couldn't understand what God was saying because they were interpreting what God was saying according to the letter instead of interpreting according to the Spirit. And he came and translated Spirit for us. And the way he did it was through the body of his death and his resurrection. Because we can see that.